play it safe. I might play a little dirty someday, and I'll follow with faith. They say I'm the chosen one. I know what it takes to be a king, and be the song everybody wanna sing, and break heart beneath, and be the chosen one. Ain't nothing gonna stop this. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. I was born to be making history, something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. It's plain reality. I was born to be something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in for another episode of the live show. Give me just 1 minute and I'll be on.
They're gonna stop this fire, this fire. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire, this fire. They told me I was never getting far, but those words couldn't take to heart. I knew the day would come, be the chosen one. Yeah. I never had a safe place to hide, run to the end of the tunnel to find a train on a shining sun, to be the chosen one. Ain't nothing gonna stop this. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. I was born.
All right. How is everybody doing? I hope everyone had a wonderful Happy New Year, had a wonderful Merry Christmas. Glad to be back doing the live show today. Gotta admit, pretty fired up. Pew, 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 pew. Dove horns, everybody. All right, so where are we? It is January 5th, 2020. I still plan on doing a show where I'm going to get everybody together. I am struggling a little bit on the technology front. I am going to have, I'm going to be using a piece of software called Zoom, and I think for what service I have at least signed up for, I can get up to 99 people on live at one time. Now, I don't know what that would look like, so I'm still in the testing phase of it, and as soon as I get through the testing phase, we're going to do a big open show with lots and lots of people. So, on that regard, I want to give a big shout out to our number one. Who was first? It was Telly Coleman. That's what I'm talking about. He came rocking in here first. All the guys over at the Discord know exactly who Telly Coleman is. He's been going through some things with life that aren't necessarily fair, but seems like he is on the up, and that is a positive thing, and glad to see him here tonight. Yo! So for those of you that are tuning in for the first time, what we are having, what this is the weekly lawn and garden show. What I like to talk about are things that involve turf grass management, because that's my background. I have a background in golf and then moved into residential lawn care, where I spent the better part of a decade maintaining hundreds and hundreds, thousands of acres of turf over my 10-year career. And as a result, I kind of passed my knowledge along from everything that I took from my career and education, and now give that back to the community, and the community that has given so much to me, and an industry that has given so much to me. So typically how this works, this is an open format, meaning you ask questions, I provide answers. I do my best to answer questions how I can, but no, sometimes I do make mistakes. A little bit of legal speak there. And with those mistakes, that means anything I say, please double check. Don't always take it as necessarily the gospel, because I'm not infallible. I'm a mere mortal. I'm human, and I make lots of mistakes. So that being said, we're going to move on to the next part of the show that I like to call the roll call. So again, we had our first, which was Telly the Man Coleman, who was in here getting it done. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, Telly, a regular over at the Discord. And if you've never been to the Discord, I recommend you check it out. There's, I call it the armpit of the lawn care community, but I say that with love. And we have a good time over there. It's kind of like a high school recovery group. It's mostly all dudes, and it's just I don't know how else to describe it other than we talk a whole lot about how cool we used to be. That's a really a positive spin for me to put on it right there. But nonetheless, I love all the relationships and friendships I have with everybody in the Lawn Discord. So it's a place that is near and dear to my heart. I've been waiting to use that, and I think I timed it perfectly. So we're going to move on to the roll call. Telly Coleman was first. What's up, Telly Coleman? We had Chris Robbins coming in here from the Eastern Shore of Virginia. What's going on over there? Lambert, the lock-picking lawyer. Actually, he's not, but he is one of my favorite attorneys. I am glad you're here. T.T. Tillman, Tony Tillman, from way up and also in Virginia. How are you, good sir? Glad to see you here. We had John T. first from Knoxville and the Matt Martinez, man of my heart. What a fantastic name you have, sir. That's what I'm talking about. Eric Ellis is here. Yo. Turf Therapy is in here. One of the new members of the Discord. Glad to see you there, sir, and glad to see you here. We got Copper World 78. 78 was a great year. It's the year my brother was born, so we got to give some love to 1978. Grace Ortiz says, Grace is in the house. Where's Matt? I'm in the house too. I'm here in Knoxville in the house. Got my kids down early. They go back to school tomorrow, so I was like, you know what? Let's jump on the live stream early. That's what I'm talking about. Marco Canchola, that's not necessary, sir. I appreciate it, but it's not necessary. Thank you. Tyler Bostian is here. How are you, good sir? I probably wrecked that. Bastian. I don't know how to say it. I'm sorry about that. I see the stashes here. Kind of. I mean, it's a little 5 o'clock shadow coming up. I shaved last night before I went to bed. Alex in. What is going on, sir? Alec Rowland. Eric Reiling botched that one. Brandon Ryan Schmidt. Josh Miller, the Lawn Stripes. Mark Macchione. Ray, the Green Doc is in the house. We got more on the Lawn Stripes. We got A's Lawn and Landscape. Barry Kavanaugh. Woo! I think I even saw Chris Elms in here. The Lawn Care Addicts. Ronald Parrish. B-Ruck. Bush League Lawns. Oh, boy. Ryan Schultz. Well, Ryan Knorr's in the house. What are you doing, Ryan? Glad to see you here as well. Good stuff. So, again, kind of a little bit about how this goes. Feel free to type questions into the chat, and I will get to them one by one. If I miss your question, forgive me, and feel free to ask again later. One thing to keep in mind is that I'm on about a 40-second delay between when I'm speaking, when you see me speaking, versus when I'm actually answering it. So some time goes by and I haven't got to your question. Feel free to ask it again. I will do my best to answer all the questions. So we are going to go ahead and get started. We don't have a whole lot of questions, so we better start having some questions coming in, or I'm going to start freewheeling this, and this might take us in some interesting directions if I'm up here left to my own devices, if you know what I'm saying. Ryan Schultz says, question for the community. What program or software did you guys use to create your logos for stickers or YouTube AVs, avatars? I'll tell you what I use, and I did not make mine. Actually, my wife did mine for me because she's better at this stuff than I am. But now that I'm kind of in a different career mode, I use the Adobe Creative Suite. I use a lot of Photoshop, a little bit of Illustrator. That's kind of where I hang out. Those two worlds, and I use a lot of Adobe Premiere Pro. Just kidding. I don't put out enough videos really to say I use a lot of it. Okay, so somebody said they were also in the golf business here. I saw that. Oh, DABQ coming from the golf course side. How are you, good sir? Glad you're here. Eric Ellis wants to know, when you ran your lawn business, did you cut grass or were you strictly an applicator? Lawn plans. Eric, I strictly was an applicator, and that was for the majority of my whole career. Now, kind of there at the end when I was with Outdoor Designs, there was a maintenance side with it, but the only thing I really handled was the fert and squirt side. That was primarily what I did. That's all I do. I'm not a big fan of mowing grass. I'm more into putting the power into the grass to manipulate its growth and scheduling and all that fun stuff. Not a big fan of the actual maintenance side of it. I don't particularly enjoy it. I know that's kind of a sin with who I'm talking to here, with Ryan Knorr and Connor Ward in here and all those guys. I don't know. I'm not super big into it. That's not my thing. That's not my thing. My thing is filling up the Permagreen and going riding it for 8 hours. I love that. You know what I'm saying? Mark Macchione can't wait to start slinging some Carbonex soon. That's what I'm talking about. Woo! John Teague says, spray out sissy grass. When do you recommend? Okay, John, so this is typically what I would recommend. Like, for instance, when I was maintaining ball fields, I would usually get that out on May 15th after their last home game on the playing surface. If you can get it sprayed out before the spring transition, great. So like 4 weeks prior to really starting to break dormancy, I'd say that may be one thing you want to do. But if you don't want to sacrifice that aesthetic value, then you can drag it out till, like, say, May 15th, spray it out then, John, and fert it really aggressively to try and minimize that amount of time in transition. Realistically, May 15th, you're going to be dealing with about a month of transition. If you do it earlier, you may be dealing with also about a month of transition, maybe even 6 weeks. So just know that typically the earlier you can spray it out, say you spray it out in like March, you're going to have a pretty normal green up schedule. If you spray it out in April, it may delay you by about a week. If you spray it out in May, you just kind of have a natural transition that takes place there, and it's going to be about a month for it to take place. That's kind of just general rule of thumb. It may not. It may only be 2 weeks for you. It may only be 3 weeks. So there's a window there, 2 to 4 weeks, something like that. HMB Wable here says, best way for a homeowner control nutsedge. The Ortho hose-in sprayer is doing good, but want to knock it out this year. So I did a video that is specifically about controlling nutsedge, and I will go ahead and say this right now. Nutsedge is very difficult to control, and it's not one thing that you can do to do it. You have to have a strategy in mind in order to get rid of nutsedge. It's perennial. It seeds very aggressively. It comes back year after year. So you have to have a strategy in place when you plan on tackling nutsedge. And I will post a link to a video here that I did that is all about strategies and programs for controlling nutsedge. And this is very in-depth, and it may be over your head as a homeowner. So bear with it as you go through it. And if you don't feel comfortable after going through it, you don't feel comfortable with anything, it's nothing to make a call to a professional lawn applicator to establish a program like this for you for controlling your nutsedge. So, that's kind of how that goes. Let's see here. Next one, A to Zorja. What winter weeds are not affected by sulfonylurea? Some of your broadleaf weeds will not be affected by sulfonylureas, and that's kind of hard to say. I've seen some chickweeds pull through. I've seen, some sulfonylureas don't attack POA very well. Cudweed is oftentimes overlooked by sulfonylureas. I can remember spraying centipede and leaving behind lots of cudweed from Celsius applications. So there's a few of them, and that's why typically to broaden your spectrum of control, especially for something like zoysia grass, you can do a winter application of something like metsulfuron methyl plus additional 2,4-D to really broaden your spectrum of control and make sure you get good knocked out in cold weather performance. So there you go. Ryan Knorr says, if I do a small bent grass screen at home, how do I cool the root zone mid-summer? Okay, so Ryan, this is pretty interesting here, and I know we've been talking a little bit privately about this, but for instance, Augusta National actually does this. They cool the root zones of their bent grass that's growing in Augusta, Georgia. Absolutely brutal environment to grow bent grass greens. Also, they have mega fans that blow on it to maximize airflow because also wooded area, lots of trees up. That's going to alter the course of wind. So a lot of times you can get some increased disease pressure just because you don't have air movement. So, long story short, how do you cool the root zone midsummer? Well, that's with some sort of cooling system. And where this could get really, really complicated would be establishing some sort of grid pattern with piping underground that is a closed system loop. And as it feeds through, it'll as it works its way through the grid, it then passes through a radiator of some sort to cool the water temperature before it circulates back through the grid. So that's probably going to be your best bet. If you think about like the cooling system, I have an AIO on my CPU on my computer here, where cool water will absorb heat from the CPU, pass it back through the radiator, cool it down, and then move back through. So it's just a closed loop system. So you think about it, that may be the best way to do it. All right. Tim Sandvik says, can I take soil samples now in Northwest Minnesota? Tim, you can. I typically they recommend as long as the soil isn't frozen, you're good to go. So if you're not frozen, you certainly can. And it's better to just go ahead and get it done than it is to wait for the perfect time and then never get it accomplished. There you go. Look at this. Kenny Cooper and Bush League Lawns said you can use PowerPoint. Gardener Earth Guy, I have never used PestPack, but I know it's very, very, very popular in Florida. All the Florida guys I know that I've talked to are big proponents of PestPack, and they love it, absolutely love it. I don't hear a lot of negative things about PestPack. And that being said, depending on what your business model is, PestPack may fit your business, it may not. I know there's some new software companies that are coming out, like Spray E. I think it's Spray with an E on the end of it. And it's supposed to be dedicated more towards the fert and squirt side of the business. Of course, there's Real Green. Real Green has their conference coming up here starting tomorrow, which is a very powerful piece of software. We also have, what else is it? What is the one I use? Service Autopilot is a good one. Yard Book is also another good one. And I'd say mainly for fert and squirt that I'm aware of, probably the two most popular ones are Service Autopilot and Real Green Systems. And I'd say, probably in volume, I'd say PestPack is probably number 1 and 2 with Real Green. But at least the smaller applicators that I typically deal with, I would say Service Autopilot and Real Green. That being said, everybody I know in Florida absolutely loves PestPack. So there you go. There you go. A's Lawn and Landscaping. No, I do not check my private messages on Discord. Brian Morales, so glad Titans beat the Pats. End of a dynasty, I believe that is. And that's probably why we don't see Lushy in here. Lushy is not feeling good after his Pats lost. And it's not that I'm a Titans guy, so I'm not even going to be super, super excited about that. Look, holy crap, 1986, which is also a great year, my birth year. Water cooling loop underground. There you go. Ryan says, can't live without mowing. I can. Chad Hooper says, what is my most cost-efficient way to get rid of POA in Bermuda? That's a good question, and there's not really one. I do know there is a new product by Control Solutions that is, my goodness, what is it called? Negate. Negate Herbicide is a new product from Control Solutions that contains rim sulfuron that just got a residential label. It's a combination of rimsulfuron and metsulfuron methyl, and it will control POA. Now, knowing that it is one of the sulfonylureas, know that herbicide resistance is a big thing and that there's a lot of POA that is resistant to this herbicide. So I'll go ahead and throw a link to that there. But I believe dollar for dollar, that is going to be your most cost-effective product on the market for controlling POA in Bermuda grass. For those of you that are looking for cool season programs, POA management strategies, I have recorded about half the video. I'm trying to make more professional like content. So bear with me. These are going to be a little bit longer for me to produce because I want them to be very professional. But I'm going to go ahead and throw the title of it in the chat here. So this is what's going to be coming out. It should be out within a week or two. All right, where am I? Where am I here? Okay, let's come back. Hey, I'm back. Just know, like a little dub horn to get you going. Okay. Not many questions. Andy Burleson says, what's going on, man? You need to find me some good freight prices so I can use some of your fertilizer. Well, Andy, the hard part is that from Oregon to Kentucky, that is going to be a 5-day drive, maybe a 4-day drive. So, unfortunately, being a 4-day travel expense, that's a pretty expensive haul. I wish I had a more cost-effective way to move material from Kentucky to Oregon, but unfortunately, I'm kind of limited there. And now with I don't know if anybody's paid attention to oil prices lately, but over the last couple of days, they've kind of catapulted. So I'd say be ready for heightened gas prices, which ultimately means higher freight prices. So just trying to pay attention to what's going on out there in the world I am. But as a result, I usually get frustrated. Lambert wants to know, is Pennant Magnum as good on crabgrass as prodiamine, I think you're saying? No, it is not going to be as good on it, but it can be effective for it. So as part of a rotational plan, yeah, that may be one you want to use, or a combination alongside prodiamine or combined with prodiamine. It may be a good solution, but it's not going to be as heavy a performer as prodiamine is in general. Tyler Boston says, have you talked to any with Site One in North Carolina to sell your fertilizers? I want to add it to my programs. Tyler, you can reach out to us directly. The only person in North Carolina that we are working with right now is, one second here. I will tell you exactly who we've got. My goodness. I wish this would load. I'm trying to load my map here. Why does this happen during the live show? I tell you what. Well, I can't get it to load right now. Let's see if I can do it this way. I don't know why I'm trying to do this during the live stream. I tell you what, if you reach out to me, I'm going to give you a contact form. If you contact me here, I can get you in contact with one North Carolina distributor we have. How about them apples? And back to the show. Okay, there we go, Tyler. There we go. There's the link. Also, on the homeowner level, what do you think of granular pre-emergence like high yield? Nothing wrong with them. I personally have a mental hang up with granular pre-emergence, and it's not because of effect or performance. There are lots of studies that show granular pre-emergence perform just as well as liquid pre-emergence. For me, it's more psychosomatic. All of my 10-year experience, aside from one application, one spring, was really all granular. It was all liquid pre-emergent. Now, there are some products I would apply granular, like oxadiazone, also known as Rhinestar. I would always apply that as a granular and always have phenomenal results with it. Again, all the studies say granular performs just as well as liquid. So as long as you're getting down the right amount of active ingredient and you're getting watered in according to label specifications, you're good. That's the only thing that's important. Outside of that, it's all just a matter of preference. What do you prefer? That's just kind of my statement on it. I don't think you're going to see a tremendous performance difference. It all comes down to just your preference of how you want to apply the material. All right, let's see here. American Troy says, would spraying POA Constrictor now on cool season grass do anything to prevent spring breakout, or is that door closed now? American Troy, you could. I think you're going to have to start spraying it in the spring, though. And I would double check the label on that. Normally they're going to recommend fall applications with like spring cleanups, but you can do spring applications as well. I know because I've done them with success. So I would say you will be good to go once I'd let it get a little bit warmer. And as soon as you have some consistent warm days where you can get down 2-3 applications, you should be good to go. All right. I had to update a plug-in, and now that I've got it plugged in. Okay. So Country Gardens in North Carolina. So this looks like it's going to be closest to maybe the Raleigh-Durham area. It's a little further north. And anyway, he reached out to us, and he is going to be carrying it. He's mainly an equipment supplier, but he will also be carrying our fertilizer lines. Tyler's a good guy, so y'all reach out to him and tell him I sent you. And here is a map that shows all of our current distributors, and we're trying to add more every day right now. Lambert says, also, any reason to use Speed Zone Southern versus regular Speed Zone on Zorja? No, sir, Lambert. You can use regular Speed Zone. Speed Zone Southern is a lower 2,4-D formulation, and it's primarily for your Centipede and St. Augustine varieties that are going to be 2,4-D sensitive. Man, what am I doing? Okay, Garner Earthcast says, I used to use Proxy in the fall, and it seemed to control POA on rye. What is Proxy? I do not remember the active ingredient in that. Oh, okay. So growth regulator. That is one of the ones in particular that there's a little bit of anecdote. It's not even anecdotal. I mean, it's real. It works. Some growth regulators actually have an effect on POA annua and reducing their stands. But more so what it does is that it actually reduces the plant size. It doesn't actually kill it. In some instances, it can take out smallish populations and allow an opportunity for your your desirable turfgrass to outcompete it. But it's one of those kind of deals where it's up in the air. Ryan, I'm going to approve this message. Tom Adams here posted his email, so y'all do not spam Tom Adams with a bunch of ridiculous emails. If he's got the tenacity here to do that, you just be careful. How do I find a sprayer like you where I live? St. Louis suburbs. So I would recommend Rottler's Lawn Care. I know one of the managers over there really, really, really well. And so I would, Steve Sides Jr. is his name with Rottler. And I will throw that website up here. And I would ask for Steve Sides Jr. with Rottler. He's the man. He is the man. Dude, you got any of them peptides? Yeah, man, we got totes on totes on totes on totes of it sitting at the plant right now, being thrown into fertilizer just as fast as we can. 802 Top Hat says, new home with fresh laid St. Augustine, but it's bumpy and hard to walk through. Any tips to even it out, or just let it grow in, fur, and cut until it's established? Less than a year, or roughly around a year. Okay. If you laid St. Augustine, I'm going to assume you have sandy soil, and this may be, what the problem I have is that I am assuming that you have sandy soil, but I would say trying to roll it might be a good fit. You can let it go, and eventually it probably will even out in a little bit. But it's hard to say. You may even have to level it out with sand at some point. But at least before you start going the sand route, at least let it get established. But through the establishment period, maybe I would go ahead and try and roll it. There you go. Turf Therapy says, I'm waiting impatiently. I need a hint of the good stuff. It'll be coming. It'll be coming soon. It'll be coming soon. Barefoot Lawn says it's easier to keep Poa alive at 0.1 inches than it is to selectively control it in a home lawn. That is a good point. Let's see here. We got some more conversations about proxy going here with the control of Poa. Phil Cagle says oxidizon is expensive and granular. It is. Absolutely it is. Oh, man, look at this. Your lawn division got sold. I just recommended you. Steve, welcome, sir. Interesting. Steve, reach out to me privately. Shoot me a text, and let's kind of continue the conversation offline here. Yeah, we'll see what's going on. Oh, man, then that opens me up to St. Louis. Who do I know in the St. Louis area that maintains lawns? I think I know somebody. Let me see if he is in the St. Louis area. Where is Wentzville, Missouri? Is that in the St. Louis area? Wentzville, Missouri. Let me zoom in on this map here. This is kind of in the St. Louis area. He might go to the St. Louis area. And his name is Ben Molitor with Best Lawn Care. Best Lawn Care in St. Louis, Missouri. Best Lawn Care. Ben Molitor is the owner. They may want to check him out. I know him pretty well as well. Here we go. Wow, we got the referral game going hard today. That's what I'm talking about. All right, let me get caught up on where I am here. Granted, I think the cheaper water-soluble packet can be hard to find. It is. It definitely is. In your opinion, what is the best platform to use for soil testing? A lot of folks use Soil Savvy or Waypoint. I would not use Soil Savvy. I'm not, who was it? G-Man the other day actually told me they use a modified Haney method for soil tests. I would find a reputable lab. Waypoint is one. Midwest is another. Waters is another that can do a Malic 3 test and do a Malic 3 test, an M3 test. That's probably going to be your best bet. If you're in an area where you have really high pH soils, you may want to consider one of your other types, which I'm drawing a blank on right now. Hang on. Okay. I'm back. But yeah, higher pH, you may want to look at, check the Discord for a cooling solution. Look at this. OSU Turf Man's got some. You don't even want to know these pictures he's throwing up in the Discord. And for those of you that are wondering what is the Discord, let me clue you in. I'm going to go ahead and shamelessly plug this again. Shout out to J Pink for even supplying this. He's the one who hooked us up with this awesome link here for the lawn Discord. But that is one heck of a cooling solution he's got here. A 10-ton AC unit with check valve on main trunk outfall. If you use gasketed pipe drain, you'll have a decent enough performance to drop 2 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit in still temp. You can get by with a smaller unit. Have an extra 50 amp breaker in your panel. That is hilarious. My goodness. Ethathon is proxy. Okay. All right. Let me keep going here and see where I am at. Ethylene production increases rate of senescence on POA. Ethylene will increase the rate of senescence on just about everything. That's a true too. We got Maryland grass guy over there. Okay, good day. I was wondering what shell is safe for a transaction. I know who you are, and that is Lushies. Lushies is the safest shell for a transaction. That is funny. T. Riley, Matt, I love the podcast. Thanks so much for doing them. A quick question. Is X-Screen safe to use on tomatoes, peppers, grapevines, and other edible crops? Yes, it is. And it would probably be a good thing, especially for things that like nitrogen really early on. Being a 1-to-1 in decay, that's a good thing to go out with early before it flowers and before actual fruit production. Being a good 1-to-1, you're good with that. During the flowering phase, that may be something where you want to do like a phosphorus. And then once you've got your fruit and your fruit set leading up to harvest, that's when I say the term fruit. You may be growing a vegetable or whatever the case may be. But, if you are during that set, your vegetable set, that's when you want to really ramp up your potassium level. So there you go. Turf therapy, attempting to kill off POA triv early spring. Turf type tall fescue, Kentucky bluegrass, Maryland. I was thinking of using tenacity as a preem in the backyard where I'm doing the patch job. Maybe use prodiamine WDG. I would use tenacity as the pre-emergent in that regard because it's going to be a little more seed safe. That's just going to be your best bet. And I was concerned about leaching into the resod. No, I would use tenacity as part of that. I would stay away from prodiamine and POA triv. One thing to keep in mind, and this is what I'm going to talk about in this video that I have coming up, when you're doing applications of glyphosate in the spring, you're only going to get about 69% control. Midsummer applications, you're only going to get about 32% control. Late summer applications, you're only going to get about 42% control. So understand, even with POA trivialis and POA trivialis and glyphosate, you're still at best going to get it's going to be a multi-year process to get control. That's just how it is. Have you ever used a thermal camera to identify dry patches? No, I have not. And Matt, I'll tell you what I did was I used, I still do. I still use blue blocker sunglasses. So typically I would use I wear like brown tint sunglasses. They may be colored, but I wear like a brown type tint, and that allows me to see it, I feel like, best. Just dark or black or gray, anything like that, I don't tend to see it as well. Brown, it really tends to catch my eye. There you go. Let's see here. If you have time to respond to me, that would be great. I use 818 and love it, but was curious about ProPete. Jerry, I saw your email the other day, and I've not had a chance to sit down and write it. I don't really know. Let me tell you, I can tell you what they do. What they do is they homogenize peat moss, a certain percentage of peat moss, with ammonium sulfate and MAP, monoammonium phosphate, or potassium chloride. So that's really about it. It's just homogenized with it. They just roll it into a prill. So they're using peat moss as an organic material source. So if you've ever used like Sustain or anything that's been homogenized with organic material, it's going to function like that. I've got some concerns about long-term use of it and about accumulating levels of peat moss in lawns, but that's kind of near or there. I think it's a fine product, and by all means, give it a whirl, see what you think of it. All right, hang out a little bit and get back on this agua. 2020 strong, says Asami. That's what I'm talking about. My wife is in the house. Woo! That cooling can cool 2 football fields, 10 ton. Wow, that's what I'm talking about. If a label says that it can be used on other non-crop areas, does that mean it can be used residentially? Herbicide is crossbow, triclopyr 2,4-D. Not necessarily. It will specifically state in the label residential areas. So triclopyr and 2,4-D, crossbow is not going to be labeled for residential lawns. You would probably either have to roll your own in order to, You'd have to roll your own in order to get that, or get one of the pre-mixed ones. Like NuFarm has a lot of pre-mixed ones that contain triclopyr and 2,4-D that are actually very cost effective. So yeah, I would probably check that out. What are your thoughts on Electus versus Merit for grub prevention? I'd say they're gonna perform about the same, maybe a little bit higher performance on Electus versus Merit. Because I believe you have multiple AIs with Electus versus Merit. You're just dealing with one imidacloprid. So I'm going to give the edge to Electus for multiple attack methods there. We'll use that. Loyalty. Look at Steve chiming in here with more people. Loyalty Lawn Care. That's what I'm talking about. That's a good one. Yeah, there's a bunch of them in St. Louis that I've talked to. But yeah, I would check out Loyalty Lawn Care. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Steve, sir. Non-crop areas include... Oh, look. Ray says, sure can. Non-crop... that may be just the way I interpret it. I may have interpreted it wrong this whole time. So there you go. And look, Ray said, Electus is an inferior product for grubs. Never mind. Ignore me, barefoot. That's what I get for speaking off the cuff. I don't know a whole lot about Electus. I was trying to remember what the active ingredient in Electus was, but I do not recall for the life of me. Man, you step away for just a little bit. Oh, Electus G is imidacloprid and bifenthrin. Okay. So, again, yeah, 2 methods. They both, imidacloprid is going to be the heavy lifter there. I don't think, Ray, what's your thought on that? You just can get a higher active of imidacloprid down by spraying Merit than you could with spraying something like Electus. That's my guess. I don't know. I'm just speaking off the cuff here. Thanks, Gene Ducati DeClo. Glad you're here, sir. Are you looking for someone to market your product line in Florida Panhandle, Pensacola area, 40 minutes from Mobile, Alabama? Absolutely, Garden Earth Guy. In fact, we'll handle all the marketing if you can carry it. Absolutely. Look, Gravelback Mechanic says, I use brown polarized glasses whenever I'm doing applications. There you go. Yeah, the other part of that is being polarized too. They have to wear polarized glasses. Let me tell you, I'm a nutcase about sunglasses. So some of my favorite lenses are the Costa Del Mar 580Ps. Those are always great. Native Eyewear has a line of lenses that I absolutely love too. If you've never checked out Native Eyewear, I highly recommend that. They are fantastic. And who else did I wear that was really good? Revo. Revo is another one that I use pretty regularly too. I've danced around with some Oakleys, not a big fan of those. I kind of wear those just personal, like if I'm going out, just for style. But in terms of actual performance, Native Eyewear, Costa, and Revos have been my absolute top of the top that I have used. I really like the glass lenses from Costa too, so you may want to check those out. But I like the reflex lenses from Native Eyewear that are polarized are just, man, those are some of the best ones I've ever worn for turf related work. Let's see here. Crossbow is forestry on the West Coast, removes blackberries in the fall. Whooping cough. I don't have whooping cough. I actually did have the flu. I'm over that now though. And I just have a really dry throat right now from talking. So excuse me with the water. I use like purple shaded sunglasses to show early drought stress, but mostly just wait for the turf to start footprinting before I throw any water on our fairways, tees, greens in northern Illinois. That's a good thing too. Footprints, any kind of layover, inability to stand back up, that's a pretty good tall tale sign there. The monsters in the house, DIY lawn care monster. Scott Ohm says, Matt, is there a cheaper, smaller quantity alternative of Battleship 3 for tall fescue in winter? No, the Battleship 3 in a 2.5 gallon container is probably going to be one of the cheapest combination products like that control that contain. It doesn't contain 2,4-D. It contains MCPA ester, tricopyr ester, and fluoroxypyr ester. In fact, I think that may have their proprietary formulation that is, it's not an ester and it's not an amine. It's pretty interesting stuff. But Battleship 3 is probably about as cheap as it gets for that kind of combination product. I don't know if you can get Battleship 3 in like a 32-ounce container or something like that. I only see it in 2.5s. I'm sure there's products out there that do come in 32-ounce containers. I'm just not privy to them, so I'm not going to be able to tell you one way or another. What's going on, Cat Bird Feeder? How are you doing, ma'am, down there in southern Mississippi? Let's see. Will 818 or Carbon X have grub prevention added this season? I don't know. We've had a lot of talk about it. And ultimately, it comes down to what the minimum purchase requirements from Control Solutions is. And what we haven't been able to do is negotiate what exactly those minimum requirements are. One of the ones I know we can't do, it would be a Celiprin. We cannot afford the minimum purchase requirement for Syngenta. So there you go. Terry Finch says, hey, Matt, I'm having some trees removed in my backyard. What should I do with the mulch when they grind the stumps so the grass can fill in? Get it out of there, dude. Get it out of there. Man, I tell you what, you cannot get it out of there fast enough. The longer you leave that stuff around, it is going to overconsume all nitrogen, and it's going to generate massive amounts of heat. It would just cause weird growth for 3, 4, maybe even 5 years. Get them out and as far away as you can. Try Smith Chroma Pops. Interesting. They blow costas out of the water. I work on the water and wore costas for years. Once I switched to Smith, there's no going back. I will definitely check those out. In fact, I'm going to throw those into a window right now. Smith Chroma Pop. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you for the heads up on that one, sir. Super excited to take a look at those. All right. Did you get the flu shot? No, I did not get the flu shot, and I got it. Typically, I do not get the flu shot, and the one time I have gotten the flu shot, I got the flu. This is the first time I've gotten the flu when I have not gotten the flu shot. Have 1,200 square foot backyard, 60% covered in Bermuda. The rest is dirt. Do you think I would be able to get it completely filled in this year? And if some tips to get it to spread, I'm in Memphis, Tennessee, 901, baby! John Myers, that is my hometown. Memphis, born and raised, graduate of Christian Brothers High School there in Holy Rosary. Lived in East Memphis for many years off of Mount Moriah and Park Avenue area, Mendenhall Park, over there by Clark Tower. That was my stomping grounds. But yes, if you have a 1,200 square foot yard and you've got 600 square feet of Bermuda grass, 100% you can get that to fill in. It is not going to be difficult. Be aggressive with your fertilizer and mow mow, and mow, and water. And that's really all you need to do. To kind of give you an example, my backyard is about 20,000 square feet, and the one you can actually see in the picture here. And if you go way back in my videos, like 3 years, you can see the process of where I grew all that in. And it just took a little bit of time. And 901B, Richard Nettles, I see you, baby. I see you, baby. And it will, you can 100%, you can do it without a problem. Turf Therapy says, dropping a humic acid RGS bomb on my lawn tomorrow since the ground isn't frozen. Is there such a thing as diminished returns with such products? Yes, there is diminishing returns. Really, once you start exceeding label rates. So what was determined to be a diminishing point of return from that was, in RGS, it would be about the equivalent of 9 ounces per 1,000. And where you got your return on investment was applied 4 weeks prior to stress through stress. Outside of that window, you're not really getting a whole lot of effect from it. Turf Nerd, what are you doing, David? Watkins? How are you, David? Good to see you, sir. Let's see. Celebrant purchases kill me. I usually wait until 2 weeks before the round before buying. I don't blame you there. Spring some around with a screwdriver too. There you go. That wouldn't work. Is there a good recommendation website on how to identify weeds in your lawn? Actually, there is the mobile weed manual. I've heard some people using Google Lens successfully, where they'll use their Google Lens, take a picture of it, and they're getting like really, really accurate results with it. So one would be Google Lens. The other one, pretty simple one here, is the mobile weed manual. There you go. Sunny Bermuda is being attacked by Poa annua. If you've got Sunny Bermuda and you're dormant right now, I'd be gearing up for your glyphosate application. My mom is here. What's going on, Mom? Glad you're here, Mom. No longer a resident of Memphis. I have no family left back in Memphis. Wow, that's a crazy thing. My dad was a resident of Memphis for 60 plus years. So, 60 years. And there's nobody in my family left in Memphis. That's a weird thing. Andy's Lawn Care and Outdoor Adventure says, what rate do you recommend for 818 X Green in the summer? I am in Chicago. I'm looking to use this for the first time and want some advice on app rates. Not looking to push hard at all. So 3 to 5 pounds per thousand will give you between a quarter pound and 0.4 pounds of N. So somewhere in that 3 to 5 pounds per thousand, there you go. You'll be good to go. Suggestions for cheap source of isoxaben, 75%, less than $125 for 16 ounces. Man, I have no idea. I normally went through distributors when I was buying it, and so whoever had the best relationship with is typically who I bought it from. I tried to do some price shopping and all that fun stuff, but I don't know. I mean, at a pound, $125 for 16 ounces sounds about right. I don't know if you'll be getting it really any better for that. Thank you. Does that apply to humic acid too? No, that was specifically for a humic acid and kelp combination, but there is the Mojic biostimulant study from, what is it? Who was this? This was, goodness gracious, Matt. Virginia Tech. There you go. Virginia Tech. There's the study there I just posted. T. Riley says, Matt, what is your take on using a non-ionic surfactant when spraying systemic fungicides like azoxy or propiconazole? Important to do? It's not necessarily important to do, but it can be a good thing to do. Because if you think about it, things, especially like propiconazole, that is going to be absorbed foliarly before moving systemically throughout the plant, having a higher amount of surface contact with the plant is a good thing because there's going to be more sites for absorption of that particular product. And even Azoxy 2 is going to be taken in closer to the crown of the plant. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good thing to do. I wouldn't budget for it if you can. How about that? Grass isn't dormant in Alabama. Temps at 60 and 70. Okay, so sunny Bermuda, what you can do is 16 to 32 ounces per acre of glyphosate. So there is a section on the Roundup Pro label, not Quick Pro, just Roundup Pro. Ignore the Quick Pro label because the Quick Pro means it has diquat in it. So you would just be looking at the Roundup Pro label, and it will specify spraying non-dormant Bermuda grass. And that particular section, I want to say it's 22. Could be just a completely made up number, so double check it. But take a look at that and see what it recommends. But if I'm just going from memory here, I believe it is 16 to 32 ounces you can spray on green, actively growing Bermuda. I've sprayed 16 ounces per acre a lot without any real effect. So there you go. I'm in the suburbs. David Watkins wants to know what SGM will 818 be available this year. We will have it in 2. That is going to be in 220, 240, and 90. So you can kind of pick your poison there. Gravelback Mechanic, when you realize Matt doesn't recognize your YouTube handle. John Slayjack, I know exactly who you are, but that way, when people are reading through, they like, oh, Gravelback Mechanic, that's who he's talking about here. If I just called you John Slayjack, John Payjack the Slayer, they wouldn't exactly know who I was talking about, would they? Get out of here, John. I know exactly who you are. You can't hide behind your handle. All right. Hey, Matt, had my first notice from the Texas Department of Agriculture inspection, spray applicator inspection right before Thanksgiving week. Passed with no errors. I'm rolling with the skid this year, my man. How are you, good sir? That is good to hear, RBL Jackson. Congratulations, sir. That first one is always the hardest one, so good on you for having good records and being a great applicator. Thank you. How long would an app of 4 to 5 pounds per thousand of X-Rain last? Would it last about 6 weeks? Just wondering how long it would last at that rate. Probably somewhere around 6 weeks. Now, that would be, it kind of depends on what you're doing with it there. So if you have some moderate temperatures with a lot of soil moisture, then you may get the color response from the iron at 3 pounds per thousand, and then a very, very gradual in-release rate across that 6 weeks. But just due to the amount of poultry manure in that 818 product alone, you're going to get 6 weeks out of it. So if you're not trying to push it hard and you're just trying to lip it through the hot part, through the stressful part, 3 to 5, 4 or 5 pounds, something like that, yeah, absolutely, you'll be good. That's going to be all the in your lawn is asking for. Connor Ward wants to know what I had for dinner, and actually, my wife and I ate at the mall, and I had what did I have? Can't remember. She ate poke, with the raw fish and the rice. I had a Philly cheesesteak. That's what I had. Are you considering adding tenacity to your starter? No, I'm not considering it. Prodiamine is hard enough to work with. We'll probably leave it at that. Are there any better options to run than tenacity? Any recommendations? No, I'd say tenacity is going to be about as good as you can get. Sitting on the riverbank, catching catfish, and listening to the weekly lawn and garden. So, man, my goodness, that sounds fun. I use isoxaben for chamber bitter control. Do you have an alternative suggestion? No, probably as good as you can get would be chamber bitter. I mean, it would be isoxaben, which is also known as Gallery. So, that's going to be about your best approach to it. Super TA, how are you doing, good sir? Glad to see you here. Part of the yard, zoysia, is now dormant here in Jersey. Want to get rid of the cool season grass and weeds since easy to see. The best way in time to get rid of it. Now would be the best time. You're welcome, Connor. Go get you one, dog. Go get you one. Super TA, I had to wrap my brain around this. So you're in Jersey and you're growing warm season grass. Zoysia. So yeah, okay, you're converting your lawn to a zoysia lawn. Okay, so the best time to do that would be like probably now. Or actually, you can wait until your zoysia is in that transition period to turning green. So for you, that's probably going to be like May, some point like that. And spray it out then, so that way you're not having to deal with all those large bare areas. So yeah, I would probably wait till April timeframe, May timeframe, spray it out then. And that way it's good and dead by the time your zoysia is up and going. So yeah, and Ray's talking about SU herbicides there. Yeah, a good sulfonylurea like Revolver would be a good product. My favorite is Monument, also known as trifloxysulfuron. That is also one of my favorites. It's just a really good, effective product. Everybody, if we look here, we have come to the 1 hour mark, just on dead nuts on the 1 hour mark. We've got no more questions left in here. Ryan Knorr is all smiles. That's what I'm talking about. We've got, if anybody wants to keep this going outside of what goes on the live stream, you can check us out over here at the armpit of the internet, where we do, the armpit things. Just kidding. It's a group of recovery and friendliness and all that fun stuff. So anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in. I sure do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the show. We're going to be coming back, and I'm telling you right now, I'm going to go ahead and call it. For those of you that are in Middle Tennessee, I'm going to be in Middle Tennessee the middle of this week. I'll be in the Murfreesboro, Nashville area. Expect me there Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. If anybody's going to the Real Green Conference and wants to get together, I'll be at the Tennessee Turfgrass Association trade show. So we can meet somewhere in and around there, have dinner, have lunch, do all those kinds of fun things. So keep that in store. I will be doing a special show next Monday to celebrate the end of some health problems I've been going through that I won on that front. And speaking of health problems and problems outside of, everybody give a big shout out and for hands up to Telly Coleman for everything he's been going on with. We love you, Telly. Can't wait to see you back on the Discord. Get well. We'll see you soon. All right, everybody. I hope you have the most wonderful week of your life. I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much. Take it easy.
Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire, this fire. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire, this fire. They told me I was never getting far. Those words couldn't take to heart. I knew the day would come, be the chosen one. Yeah. I never had a safe place to hide. Run to the end of the tunnel to find a train on a shining sun to be the chosen one. Ain't nothing gonna stop this. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. I was born to be making history, something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. It's plain reality. I was born to be something greater, something higher. Ain't no gonna stop this fire. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire, this fire. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire, this fire. No. I was born born to be, making history, something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. It's plain reality. I was born to be something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. I was born to be making history, something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire. It's plain reality. Burn, burn. I was born to be something greater, something higher. Ain't nothing gonna stop this fire.